Hi, and welcome to Things in My Head. I'm Angel Burt, your host. Now, today you got to go to our website, www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. And the reason why is because I want to show you who I'm talking to. The name of this gentleman is Omari Head. Now, he is the associate pastor as well as the college pastor at Acts Church in Waco, Texas. His picture is going to be up on the website. You're going to see a couple of pictures of us doing the interview, and he has a really cool office. I want you to see this office. This is one of those offices where you can go and chill, relax, just have a chat, whatever you need to do, and it's cool. We're going to be continuing our show on New Year's resolutions. We're going to be talking to Omari about getting back into church, getting back to family, getting back into those relationships that mean something to us. We all make those New Year's resolutions. That's what we're going to be talking about today on Things in My Head right after this. Hi, Sarah. Just a trim today?
Cut it off. Cut it all off.
Oh no, what's going on?
I have to pull my hair back for work. And I love my long hair, but I have tried everything. I'm so frustrated. I just don't know what else to do.
Elisabella Design.
Who?
Here, let me show you on my tablet. ElisabellaDesign.etsy.com. The creative functional hair jewelry that stays put. They're experts at manipulating heavy wires and metal into beautiful hair slides that not only stay in your hair all day, but look really good doing it.
Wow, they are beautiful. And with this price, I can order 2 of them.
So, are we cutting it all off?
No way. I just ordered from Elisabella Design. Shampoo and blow dry only, please.
You got it. ElisabellaDesign.etsy.com. Welcome back. We're talking with Omari Head about getting back into church, getting back into family relationships. What is it going to take to get us back to church? Omari, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, I have to let my listeners know that we are on location. We're at the church.
Yes.
There's a lot of people around. So, Omari, being a college pastor, you must see this a lot. A lot of people growing up in the church, maybe when they're younger, that sort of thing, and they stop going.
Right.
Why?
Well, you know, research shows that especially within the college bracket, probably 18 to 24, those that started in church, 70% of them will leave the church.
Wow.
70% will leave the church. Now, here's the great thing about it is that once they graduate, once they get out into the working world and things, when they get about 28, 29, and maybe into their 30s, and usually what's happening around that time is that they are establishing relationships or getting married, maybe having kids. They usually return, but it's only by invitation. Somebody says, hey, come back.
Really?
And the number one reason is because they decide that church is not essential for their life.
What does that mean? If church is not essential.
Right. Well, it is, I think it's several things. See, I grew up in a Black Baptist church. So when I grew up, my mom forced us to go to church. Like when it was morning, night, it did not matter.
Like 80% of Americans out there.
Absolutely. And so we had to go to church. Like it was a requirement. There was no question about it. We had to go. So then once you get out of the house, there's that freedom.
Right.
There's that freedom that you want. I studied student affairs for just a little while, and we talked about the first time things, whether it's drugs, sex, alcohol, just experiencing life, you know, the typical college things. So when an 18-year-old gets into a college environment, they're away from home, they're away from their parents, they're away from their old friends. They get to choose who they want to be. Freedom. Exactly. And so that's what happens. The last thing on their mind is going to church. Why? Because that was the first thing that their parents ever made them do.
Well, that must be really discouraging for you as a college pastor.
I know. Crazy. So when I see people come in, I know that they're here because they want to be here, because they could be somewhere else.
Okay, you were talking about statistics earlier, and I looked up some statistics online. People who go to church are more grounded. They have more stable relationships. Now, that's not to say that Christians don't get divorced, or people who go to church don't get divorced, or they don't have relationship problems. They just have less of them.
Right.
What about families in church? You know, we talked about the college age kids, but what about families who they want to come back to church?
Right.
What would be some of the reasons why they should come back to church?
Well, I think that it just gives them the opportunity, just like you said, you're more grounded when you're in a church. And it's not just because you go to church, but it's because of what's being taught there. You know, within the Word of God, there's everything. Like, I mean, every question that you have, there's something that probably is addressed within the Bible. And so that's one of those things that you come into a church and you sit down and you get to hear things maybe in a different way that you've ever heard them before. You get to experience kind of like a new life.
Well, now, wait a minute. What if,
Come on.
let's just say that, okay, maybe I grew up in church, but you know, church isn't my thing, and maybe I don't really believe everything that's being taught there, and I'm not a Christian, and I just, you know, I don't think I should be walking through the doors of a church. I'm not good enough. I'm not,
Right.
for whatever reason, it's just not my thing.
Right.
How am I going to get anything out of church?
That is a great question. And all I could say is you just got to enter the doors first. And you got to find that right church, because we're in Waco, Texas. There's over 300 some odd churches, over 120, 130 Baptist churches in themselves.
This is a little bitty town.
Right. And so there's so many churches. And so, but I believe the Lord does that for a reason. I'm kind of like ice cream. I like ice cream. Do you like ice cream?
love it.
I'm kind of a plain type of person. So I like vanilla, homemade vanilla. I'm good. I will be happy all day long. But some people like chocolate. Some people like Rocky Road. Some people like these other extravagant flavors. And I kind of look at churches like that, is that it's a different flavor, and so I think for that person that maybe does not have a strong relationship with God, for that person that is just not quite sure about what church has to offer, they just haven't found the right church.
Oh, okay.
Because like in a church like Acts Church, we come here, and the thing that gets people walking in the door and gets them staying is the family feel. And so really, it's not probably the amazing worship that we have or the amazing speaker, but it's because they find a place to belong.
Which I will attest that they have both, because I've been here.
Come on.
Yeah, and Omari, he sings, you guys.
Oh, I love to sing.
I'm going to
Love
try and
to
get
sing.
something up on the website. Go to www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. We're going to try and get you some Omari's music up there, maybe.
All right.
We'll see what happens. Omari, relationship with church people sometimes can be kind of awkward. I mean, I'm being honest with you.
Right.
Especially if you've not been raised in the church.
Right. Absolutely.
People don't know how to act. What's the right way to act?
Don't know
What's the
what words to say.
protocol,
Right.
And maybe you just don't feel comfortable
Right.
in
Right.
the church environment.
Right.
How does someone get over that? I mean, what's going to get to that person?
I think that that starts before you come into a church. I think that around us, there's always people that are going to church all around us. And so I think it starts there. I think it starts with being transparent with somebody that's already in your life, that's a Christian, and you just being honest with them, going, hey, I don't know about this whole church thing. I don't know what to do, what to say. I'm not really comfortable there. Is it okay if I come to church with you? That's one of the things. I know that we're talking about getting people back in churches, but for all those listeners that are already in church, man, it's our responsibility to give these invitations to people, because that is what gets them back. Just like we talked about these college students that eventually get back in church, it's because somebody goes up to them and says, I'd like for you to come. I have students that have life groups, and they're like, no one's visiting my life group.
What is a life group?
Oh, life groups. Life group is a place. It's people that you can do life with. It's people that are going through the same things as you. You get together, you study the word, you get to eat food together, play games together.
Like a Wednesday night Bible study type of thing?
Yeah, Wednesday night Bible study. Yeah.
Are they always going to study the Bible, or is it?
Not always. It kind of depends on the life group leader. Sometimes they just worship. Sometimes they just talk and hang out. These are people that want to get together because they say, one, faith is important, and two, community is important. And so let's blend those things together and let's just do life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Now, so is it life group. Now, we're talking to Omari Head with Acts Church in Waco, specifically to Acts Church. I know you can't comment on other churches at this point, but specifically to Acts Church, what kind of life groups can we expect to find? Right.
Absolutely. We have life groups for the whole family. We have life groups for our youth. We have life groups for our college students, and we have life groups for our families and singles.
Your peers.
Yeah, you are among your peers. And so if you're a young adult, you've graduated out of college and things like that, and you're looking for a group of people to hang out with, we have a young adult life group that's made up of some young married couples and some young singles. We have other life groups that are full of families that bring their kids. And so that is the amazing thing when you get 15 people together with all of their families in a room together, just because.
It's community.
It's community. And that's what people long for. That's why people want to get back in church. That's why people long for church. That is it. No matter what it is, we all have this innate desire to want to belong to something. And so whatever's showing me love, whatever is giving me a pat on the back and giving me some of that positive feedback that I really want and desire, even though I don't even know that that's what I want and desire, man, I want deep down inside to belong. All of us do. We have to be real with that. But here's the catch is that either we're going to be in good community or bad community, which means whoever is reinforcing that positively for us, that's where we're going to gravitate. If somebody is asking me to come do bad things, I'm feeling love there, I'm going to go do bad things. Why? Because it's my desire to belong, to be loved, to have community, authentic community, something
Which is
real.
why people get into games, why these kids
Exactly, because they want to belong.
into those cults and things like
Right.
that, because they're feeling that community.
Right.
We're going to take a break, but right after the break, I want to ask the hard question. Omari's going to give me a funny look when I ask this question. But we're going to go here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about people have been hurt by the church. What do you do? All right after this.
Guess what I just did? I just saved 80% on my grocery bill. Yep. Walked right into the store with my coupons and saved 80% at the checkout. Want to know how I did it? I went to couponcoachlisa.com and became a member for just $5. Coupon Coach Lisa has easy-to-follow tutorial videos that showed me step-by-step how to get the most savings for my grocery dollar. Oh, and this is not just a one-time thing either. CouponCoachLisa.com has taught me how to do this every time I go shopping. I've saved so much money by joining CouponCoachLisa.com. Now I can even go on a date with my husband. Get connected, stay connected with CouponCoachLisa.com.
We're back. Things in my head. We're talking with Omari Head from, and that sounds kind of funny, I know.
It is.
But that's his name. That's his real name. Omari Head from Acts Church, Waco. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So we're going to go there. We're going to ask that hard question. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who have been hurt by the church.
Absolutely.
And I've run into people. I've been one of those people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And said never again.
Mm-hmm.
I got hurt by the church. I'm not going to go back ever.
Mm-hmm.
I could move 1,000 miles away, but I will not step foot in another church. How do you talk to those people?
Yeah. That's a great question. Just the other day, I was watching a movie, and a quote came across the movie. I think it was by Martin Luther King Jr., but I'm not quite sure. But the quote was something like this. It said that people are going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just going to naturally happen. But the question is, which one of those people are worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Which pain is really worth it? Because we know relationships are sloppy. People are messy. We all mess up. Pastors, doctors, lawyers, it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to mess up. You're going to disappoint. You're going to say something that you shouldn't have said, and you're going to hurt someone, and it's not like we try. Sometimes it is intentional, but there's many people that have been hurt by the church. And I would say this, that the room is full of hurt people.
So is the church a hospital?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Jesus would say. Jesus would say that the church is for those that are sick, not for those that are well.
So if you're hurting, if the church has hurt you, possibly stop going to that church.
Yes. Well, there's a couple things. This is kind of detailed in scripture that if someone hurts you or there's an offense or something that happens, go and talk to them. Go and address the issue. If it's not dealt with, take someone else with you and go talk about it. And if that's not working, then maybe you do have to leave a church.
That's not going to be in some people's nature either.
Right. Absolutely. So sometimes it does take leaving the church. But I'll tell you this about Acts Church. Acts Church is a church of the broken. Acts Church is a church of great community because I think it's full of broken people. None of us are perfect here. There's a lot of people that come to Acts Church for, I guess we could say, restoration. They come to this place so they can be made whole again because they were hurt by previous churches. They were hurt by previous situations. And then they find a home here because we say, hey, we want everyone to be welcome. Like our motto is, hey, we want this place to resemble heaven. Mm-hmm. So we don't care what you look like. We don't care what you're going through. Our doors are open. Our arms are open. Come in this place and find healing in this place because we know that, man, church is that important. Church does bring healing. Mm-hmm. But just like you said, there are going to be situations where people are hurt by the church. And because of that, they'll run forever. But I'll tell you this, there will always be a desire within them, something that cannot be fulfilled. Can I tell you a story?
You can do that.
Okay. So, I always imagine this. This is kind of the vision that I always have when it comes to just kind of my relationship with God or going to church or whatever it is. You have a child, right? And do you remember there's little bucket things and they had a lid on it and it had a star and it had a square and a circle and a triangle and all these blocks. And so what you see kids grab these pieces and for them it serves a great purpose because it's about motor skills and things like that, coordination. And so they take this circle and they're trying to jam it into the square and they're like, okay, that doesn't fit. Then they eventually find the circle and they finally put it in there. And so the really cool thing about that is that in all of our hearts, there is this, we'll call it a triangle. There's this triangle that can only be filled by a triangle. But yet, we'll use a square, we'll use a circle, we'll use an octagon, we'll use whatever we can find to try to jam into this spot. I mean, and just setting it on top of it might look like it fits for a little while, but it doesn't. the only thing that's going to fit in that is another triangle, right? And so for me, like, I tried everything. I tried relationships with people, relationships with girls. I mean, you name it, I tried it. My college years were kind of wild, where I tried it all. But I tried all of those typical things that most people try, most that we all run to for love, for belonging, for all those things. But the only thing that fills that void in my life was a relationship with Jesus. And I knew that my relationship with God would not grow if I wasn't in a church, because there's something important to being planted and rooted in a church, because the church has so much to offer.
Telling your little story, I kind of think of church as like a jazzercise class.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, we have some rip-roaring worship, don't get me wrong, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
What I'm talking about is that when you want to start losing weight, when you want to exercise, you have to go to a jazzercise class.
Absolutely.
Or you have to go to an aerobics class where there's like-minded people.
Right.
Where there's people who are doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
They're struggling with the same issues. They're in the same space that you're in.
Absolutely.
And I have my statement of faith up on the website, www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. You can go to faith right at the top of the website and take a look at that. You'll see who I am. Pretty transparent up there. But what I believe is that you're right. If you don't go to a church and get those relationships, be in that community. Now, that community is not perfect.
Right. It's not. And you can't expect for it to be perfect.
Right. Right. I think the world does hold Christians to a little higher standard.
Absolutely.
And really, we should be holding ourselves to that
Come
higher
on.
standard, too.
Get it. Yeah, absolutely.
But really, a lot of times, people will go to the church, been there for a little while. Now, let's lay it out there. We've had some pretty well-known pastors in the community who have laid their sins right out there for everybody to see, whether it's been sexual, problems, or it's been relational problems, or things like that. We've known pastors who have gone to jail. They're not perfect. They're human. And I keep telling people, especially in my circles, and I've told my listeners this before, being a Christian does not supersede me being a human. It just doesn't happen. God gave us free will. We have a mind of our own, and we still do the things right up until we know that we shouldn't do them, right up until we're going to do them, and we do it anyway. You don't have to be a Christian to walk through the doors of a church.
No.
You don't have to be perfect to walk through the doors of a church. I love that. Right. So relationships, we're talking about also getting back to spending time with our family. How does church help us do that?
Man, that's a good one. I was looking up the top 10 New Year's resolutions, and that was number 5, a better work-life balance and spend more time with family. Church has something for everybody. There is a children's ministry, there's a youth ministry, there's a college ministry, there's an adult ministry. There are all those things so that you could hear the message in a way that you could understand. And so the way that helps with family is that when you go home, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop at church, but you have to carry it outside of church and take it home. And that can be the basis of conversations for families. And then it also shows us throughout the Bible, there are some pretty great examples of bad family. And there's some good examples of family. And so within the context of church, you learn what it looks like to have a healthy family. It's a place where you have everybody from every walk of life. And so those, so you're not the only one struggling with family. You're not the only one struggling with your marriage or with your children. There are people to walk with you through that. But here's the key is they're giving you biblical truths to help.
Even outside of the biblical truth, there's just a foundation.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a foundation for relationships.
Absolutely. Let's think about it. That is all of Christianity. It's a relationship. Like, that's what Jesus is wanting more of. This whole checklist of I'm just going to go to church because it's required of me. I'm going to go on Wednesday because that's what a good Christian would do. Yeah. I might even go serve on the weekend or something like that and volunteer because it makes me, which is another top 10 is I need to volunteer.
Right.
Why? Because those things make us feel so good. But man, Jesus is just longing relationship. Like, that's all he wants. There's so much more than me to just sit down on a Sunday, listen to a preacher tell me what I should or shouldn't do, and then walk out not changed, walk out and go back to the same life.
Feeling like you just sat through a sermon with your mother.
Exactly. Yeah, somebody scalding you going, you shouldn't have done that. And you feel bad, but you don't change your life. You just go on and you do something else. And the reason why your life never changes is because there was never a relationship that was established for you to sit and say, yeah, I need something. I need more. I can't do this alone. Let's say it like this. My big brother, because I just got this image of my brother. And one thing I knew about my brother is that he had my back. And so no matter where I went, my brother was going to have my back. So I could buck up to anybody I wanted. I'll try to fight anybody I wanted when I was younger. Why? Because I knew that my brother was right there all the time. Because I had that relationship, I knew somebody was with me. You know, it's just like we carry ourselves with more confidence. We carry ourselves being fearless. We're able to go into any circumstance because we know that we're not alone. So getting into church is being around community that also knows that, man, God is there, but also knows that God uses us to be there for one another. But man, that relationship is one of the most important things. If you don't have that clear relationship, then you're going to always want and long for something more. Because there is something more. And you're going to go look for it in all these other ways.
All the wrong places.
Right.
Isn't that what the country song says?
Yeah.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
places.
What is the church doing for the community overall?
Absolutely.
You know, and is that even helping?
Right.
I mean, churches have, you even said it, churches have their programs, and a lot of people don't like the fact that churches got all these programs, and every time you go, you got to get involved with all these programs. Now, I happen to know that Acts Church Waco is not like that.
Come on.
Acts Church is a very laid back, very, casual environment. And, it really shows in the people that come here, the relationships. However, Acts Church is very, very involved in the community, and they do serve the community. Hello, all of those people out there who are listening to this show and are saying, you know what, churches don't practice what they preach. They do here.
Come on.
There are some churches that do. What
Right.
does Acts Church do for the community, and how does that help?
Right. Well, yeah, like you said, we have several things that we do for the community. Over the last years, right now we're looking for a new location for our storehouse. But over the last years, we've served over 150, 160 families a week
What is this
out of our storehouse. And that's just where people come to get food. Non-perishable food items, paper products, and things like that.
So like a food bank. You
Yep.
have your own food bank.
Yep. We have our own food bank. We're giving out clothes to those who need clothes. But we have a very open door policy. Those that are connected with our church or an extension of our church that have needs, we want to respond to those needs. We are located 2-3 blocks away from Kate Ross. And Kate Ross is it's more of a low income housing community right down the street. And we do a lot of outreach down in Kate Ross. We do a thing called Kids Jam, which is every Wednesday at 3:30. We go down and we hang out with the kids.
Okay, no. Now, because I happen to know that it's a little bit more than that, because they actually, Kate Ross is the projects. You know, let's be real.
Some would say, yes.
And they have housing projects down there where, Acts Church Waco has actually been given their own apartment.
Yes,
for
yeah.
Kids Jam. So that the guys can go out there and hang out with the children after school.
Right.
at
Which
noon.
just doesn't happen.
Right.
Like state and because of state and church and all that stuff,
Right.
it never happens that the federal government will say, hey, we're going to give you a 3-bedroom
So this wasn't
apartment.
a private landlord that gave you this.
No, this is the Waco Housing Authority
Oh, okay.
said, hey, we want to give you this apartment so that you can bless this community.
Wow.
It's a 3-bedroom apartment. It's right in the middle of the Kate Ross housing community. I was just there today. We had over 55, 56, 57 kids out there. And like these are children like that are from kindergarten to 6th and 7th grade that all come out just to hang out. Why? Because they want a place to belong. They want somebody to love them.
Right.
You know, they want to just be around people that just love being around.
Now, you talk about kids, and kids are really, they're kind of easy to get into church. You know, I mean, if you provide the activity or if you provide the place for them to hang out, that's what they're going to do. And I have to tell you, I'm going to tell a little story, and my husband is here. He's in the studio with us today, and he's going to laugh when I start telling the story. But my husband happens to be 17 of 18 kids. Okay, he is number 17 of 18 kids. They were brought up in the ghetto, in the projects. And the one thing that he has always remembered is that the bus would come by and invite them to church, and they would give them candy or bubble gum, the long sticks of bubble gum to get into the van, or, you know, to invite them to church. If you come and sit in the bus and be quiet, we'll give you some bubble gum. They'll take them to church. And you know what? That made such an impact on him.
Absolutely.
In between time, my husband became an atheist, quote, atheist. But yeah, he became an atheist. He said he didn't believe in God. And yet, that one incident of going to church,
Mm-hmm.
the school bus
planted
coming
the seed.
by,
Yeah.
getting him on that bus, taking him to church. And he talks about this little bitty country church. It wasn't a big, huge church with kids jam, or it wasn't a big church with a big playground in the middle. This was a little bitty country church that they went to. And yet it made such an impression on, 8-year-old TJ that when TJ grew up, even after becoming an atheist in his college years and all of that, realizing that, hey, maybe there's something to this. Like you said, the triangle.
Absolutely.
Something's missing. I need
Absolutely.
to fill that up. And let's go back to church.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
today, he is, he's a fantastic, man of God, and has, our whole family is saved because of this man. I mean, how can you have a testimony like that without someone like you, someone like Acts Church that's going to go out in the community and get these kids and say, hey, there's more to it than just sitting in front of a sermon and listening to somebody say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this.
Right.
I love that. Getting back to community now. That was my little input.
No. That was great because what happened was a seed was planted.
Exactly.
And Jesus says like, hey, you plant seed, you water, but it's only I that makes it grow.
Right.
So when it was time for it to grow, it grew. And that's what we do with Kids Jam. That's what we do down there every week is we spend time with these kids and we're just planting seeds and we're just watering and we're using that as a bridge to get to families.
Right.
Because just like you said, it's so easy to get a van full of kids to church, but to pull their families in with them is a little bit more difficult. But you do that through relationship, through building relationship with them, going knocking on the door saying, hey, how are you doing? Like, I'm Omari. I'm at Kids Jam every week. We invite you to come out and hang out with us, but there's a ton of other things that we do too.
So not just kids.
Not just kids, right? Okay. Not just kids, but we also do things, for some of the other people around this community because we feel called to this area. Like our church was brought into downtown for this purpose to serve this community. And so every Sunday night we do a community meal. We call it our agape meal, our love meal. And so that's for anybody in the community, whether you're homeless, whether you just don't have anything to eat that night, it does not matter. If you are hungry and you need a meal,
not just church members.
Not just church members. And the majority of the people that come to eat the meals are not church members. Okay. And we talked a little bit about our life groups. Our life groups actually prepare the meals every week for these community meals. And so it's our opportunity to serve our community. And so we serve anywhere from 40 to 60 people every single Sunday night at 5:00 here at our church.
Now, so are those people coming to Acts Church on Sunday night just for the meal and you never see them again throughout the week? Is that the deal? Or are some of them actually coming?
It is a little bit of a split. A lot of the people that come are people that are homeless because our church is located, right in front of My Brother's Keeper. And so they might be waiting to get into My Brother's Keeper which is a mission. Which is a mission of Mission Waco. And so it's a homeless shelter. And then the others are just from the surrounding community. And so some of them, I would probably say 20% of them come to the church. But the rest of them, we're doing just like we're doing at Kids Jam, and we're just planting a seed. We're planting a seed so that they know that we're here.
Church doesn't have to be a building. Church doesn't have to be a Sunday morning service.
Church is not a building. Okay. Church is not a building at all. The church are the people. Wherever you go, you are the church. The Lord says, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there he is with them. And so there's no need for a building. We could tear down this building right now and meet outside and still be a church.
And still have community.
And still have community because that's what it's about. Like church is community. Church is relationship. Church is, authentic love. I'm coming with all my junk, with all my baggage, and I'm saying, here I am. Will you receive me? And that is the amazing things is that we've had people like that have come in like, I'm just going to be exactly who I am. And I bet they're going to reject me like every other church.
The challenge.
Right. And we're like, no, you come on in here and give me a hug on your way.
Well, I know that you guys do a lot more in the surrounding community. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but time goes fast.
It does. Oh my gosh.
Fast. But Omari, we have so enjoyed having you here. And I'm going to try and get a little bit of Omari's music up on the website because it's really worth it. I've heard some of his songs. His Christian music, his worship songs are amazing and very, very God-given. And so, here's a recap. If you don't believe us, you don't have to be a Christian to get into church. You don't have to be perfect to get into church. You don't even have to know anybody to go to the church. But if there's just that triangle inside of you you're tired of trying to stick a circle or a square in there.
Come on.
Come on to church. And if you're in the Waco area, we absolutely invite you to come to Acts Church Waco. Their website, Omari, is
www.actswaco.com.
That's very easy to remember. actswaco.com. Our website, www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. We're going to have that link up there. We're going to have some other links up there for you. But yeah, community, guys, community and relationships. So important when you want to build a relationship with your family. You need to get back into church, and you need to get back into that community. And you don't have to be overly religious. Acts Church, for example, is not a religious church. There are numerous other churches across the United States that are not religious organizational churches. You don't have to go to a church that has the spires and the stained glass windows and sings hymns every Sunday, and you have to dress to the nines.
Right.
I mean, I wear tennis shoes to church, guys.
Amen.
And hey, Omari is sitting here right now with me in tennis shoes, and this is what he wears to church.
Amen.
But yeah, you can find a church that will fit your needs. You may have to go to a few churches. You may have to talk to a few people. You may have to, even travel a little bit, because I remember at one time we were actually going about 45 minutes, driving about 45 minutes to find it. If you don't have a car, find somebody who does.
Absolutely.
Go online, go on Facebook pages, even Acts Church. And here's the cool thing. Acts Church has a Facebook page. Is it Acts Church Waco or Acts?
It's Acts Waco.
Acts Waco Facebook page. Go on the Facebook page, and if you are interested in finding a church in your state, we have so many people from other states here. There are 3 colleges here.
3 colleges.
4 if you count the Bible college. And people come from all over the United States to come to Waco, to Acts Church. And you can find somebody who is probably from that state who will say, hey, you can go to this church. I know somebody at this church.
Absolutely.
Go and tell them that so-and-so sent you. Easy, easy, easy. If you need a place to hang out, nobody is going to condemn you. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody is going to throw you out. Not at all. In fact, they'll probably welcome you with open arms, and you might even find a place to belong. So, New Year's resolutions month is over. I'm sorry to say, because I really enjoyed it. I have really enjoyed it. However, in February, we're going to be starting a new series. We're going to be talking about 50 ways to say I love you. So if you've got a way to say I love you and you want to let me know on our Facebook page, Things in My Head blog, find us there. You can find us on Twitter as well. All you have to do is use hashtag Things in My Head. We'll answer you. Tell me, how do you say I love you? And we'll talk to you next month. Take care, everybody.